I'd like to talk to you about how, as a CEO, to make your chief HR officer successful, how to ensure they have impact. And that requires, in the first place, that you define what success looks like. And to me, it is totally clear that success of the chief HR officer sits in creating value for the company. So, in driving company value and driving company performance. So, everything that you focus on, everything you discuss with your chief HR officer, I would submit focuses on how to make a better company. There are these things that are unnegotiable. One is we should always abide by laws and regulations. The second is, I think, we should do everything we can to guarantee utter dignity of our people in the workplace. And the third one is company performance. So everything we take on that is not about any of those three, we should not take on. So the definition of success, the definition of impact for your chief HR officer sits in company performance. And there's a lot you can do as a CEO to set up your chief HR officer for delivery. It starts with identifying with them which people initiatives, which people priorities drive company performance, drive company value creation. You will be surprised how many initiatives and solutions that are being proposed that are really in search of a problem, that do not really sort any challenge or problem for the company. So it's crucial. It's very important for you to agree with the chief HR officer. What are the very few priorities and initiatives that drive company value creation? That leads to the next step that you own as a CEO, working with the chief HR officer. We have learned that every strategy, every value creation plan boils down in the end to 4 or 5 buckets in the company that drive over 75% of the value creation you're after. And it's surprising so much time is being spent to initiatives that do not add a great lot. So identifying the few buckets where most of the value sits and identifying the priorities and initiatives you need in order to create that value, that sits in your responsibility as a CEO. And that is where you work with your chief HR officer. And once you've identified that with your top team and the chief HR officer, then there will be an interesting next step to identify those few roles, and there will be few that do the heavy lifting of that value creation. And again, that is something that sits in your responsibility because you are responsible for value creation. Markets are increasingly unpermissive of CEOs who don't create value. That's where you work with a chief HR officer. So the framing of your relationship with the chief HR officer is about identifying where the value of the company sits, identifying what needs to be done in order to create it, and take all the measures necessary to set up those selected players in those critical roles for delivery. Now, there is more to this. Outside this limited remit that is essential for value creation, there's a lot that needs to be done in human capital and that you should leave to the chief HR officer. You should always feel free to challenge them on the succinctness and the business relevance of their thinking and trust them for their HR knowledge. In that domain, there are a few things that are important: performance management, capability building, and leadership development. Outside that, there's not a great lot that is of great importance. And so this depicts the relationship between yourself and the chief HR officer that sets them up for delivery and impact. There's one thing that I should not forget. Once you've agreed what the chief HR officer is to deliver, and I wish it's ambitious, you should at any time provide them the air cover they need in order to deliver. I think In working with this simple framework, you go very far in making your chief HR officer an active contributor to company value creation rather than a servicer of the business.